Well, hello everybody and welcome to Jeff's Baking Blog. Today I'm going to make corned beef and potato pie. So this is going to be a shortcrust pastry and it's going to go into an 8-inch round cake tin. Then there's going to be a filling of corned beef and potato, then a pastry crust on the top and baked in the oven. Now, I should explain from the outset that corned beef in the UK is completely different to corned beef in North America. In North America it tends to be a cut of brisket which is seasoned often in advance. You can buy it in the shop and you season it and you cook it. In the UK, corned beef is something which is ready to eat as a sandwich meat, and it comes in slices or it comes in tins, basically 340 gram tins, and that's a shredded meat which is then pressed together with a little bit of fat to hold it all together. So that's what I'm going to use for this, and this is a pie which I had quite often as a child because it's a fairly cheap type of meal, some meat and then lots of potato into a pie. So that's what I'm going to do, and we have to make the pastry and then we have to make the filling. So I'll go on to the ingredients, and for the pastry I have 400 grams of plain flour. That's 2 2/3 cups based on scooping packed flour into a 250 milliliter cup. I have 200 grams, 14 tablespoons plus 1 teaspoon of cold unsalted butter, 1 medium egg, which would be large in the USA, 45 millilitres, 3 tablespoons of cold water and a pinch of salt. And then for the filling I have 900 grams of potatoes. I'm using Maris Piper, which I've peeled and cut and washed. And I should say 900 grams works out at £2, and I think there's one there that I've not, oh no, that's fine. So I should say that 900 grams is 2 pounds of potatoes. I also have 100 grams of carrot which I have diced quite finely, and I have 40 grams of spring onion or scallions which I have chopped quite finely. So the 100 grams is 3.5 ounces of diced carrot and 1.5 ounces of scallions. You could use finely chopped onion if you wanted to. I have 340 grams, which I think is about a 12-ounce tin of corned beef, which I've cut into chunks. I have 1.5 grams, which is half a teaspoon of white pepper, 3 grams, half a teaspoon of salt. And I'm using white pepper because it has a lighter, more floury flavour to it. It's not quite so harsh as black pepper. So that's all the ingredients we're going to need. And the first thing to do is to get the potatoes ready. So I have here a pan of water, and I'm just going to drain these potatoes. They were in water to wash the excess starch off them, and I'm going to put those into my saucepan, and I'm going to top that up with a little drop more water, and then I'm going to cover it and put it on the heat and bring it to the boil. And once it starts boiling, I'm going to turn the heat down and boil them gently with the lid on so they're covered for about 20 minutes until they're completely soft and a knife will slide easily through them. At that stage I need to drain them and mash them. I'm also going to put my diced carrots into a pan, and I'm going to boil those until they're soft. Just until they're soft, and that's all I need to do. So I'll do that and then I'll come back and we'll make the pastry. So I've put the flour into the bowl of my immersion blender processor, and I'm going to sprinkle that pinch of salt over the top, and then I'm going to put the cold butter in as well, and I'm then going to process that. I'll pulse it until the butter turns into a sort of coarse sand or a fine breadcrumb like texture. And that's quite good like that. So then I'm going to put my egg in, but I'm just going to break that up first of all. I'm going to pour that in, and I'm going to process that until it starts to come together, adding enough of my water to make it clump into a dough. I may not need all of the water. So I'll add maybe 2 tablespoons of the water. So I can see that's beginning to clump together now. It's not quite there yet, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to tip it out onto some plastic wrap, and I'm then going to squeeze it into a dough. So I'm just going to squeeze that, and if it's still a bit dry I can add just a little bit more of my water, but I think it's looking reasonably good. And so I've worked that together, just squeezing it in my hands basically, and I'm going to just flatten that into a disc, and I'm going to wrap it up, and I'm going to chill it in the fridge until the potatoes have been mashed and cooled and mixed into the filling, and then I will be ready to roll this out and make the pie. And at that time I will preheat my oven to 190 degrees Celsius, 170 Celsius with a fan, 375 Fahrenheit, and I will lightly grease my cake tin so that's ready to take the pie when we roll it out. So my potatoes have now boiled, my carrots have boiled, and I've drained those and I've left those to cool. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to mash these potatoes, and I'm going to do it with my potato ricer, simply because I find that a more effective way of getting them mashed nicely. So that's the potato mashed or riced basically. I'm just going to leave that to cool for a couple of minutes. Then I'm going to put in my corned beef and my spring onions with the salt and the pepper, and mix those together. So I've left my potato for just a little while, and I'm going to put my corned beef in, and you may have noticed I didn't salt the potatoes, and one of the reasons was because I'm putting salt into this, and I'll do that now, the pepper and the salt. And I'm just going to mash this with a fork until I've got that meat broken down and mixed thoroughly into the potato. And I'm going to add in the spring onions as well, and the carrot, and I'm just going to gently stir those until they're mixed through. And that's good enough like that. So I'm going to leave that now, and I'm going to let it cool, and then as it cools, I will come back and roll out the pastry and preheat my oven as I mentioned earlier. So I now have my oven preheating and my filling has been cooling down, so I'm going to roll out the pastry, and I've taken about 2/3 of it and I've put it onto a lightly floured surface, and I've floured my rolling pin. I'm going to roll it out large enough to fill my 8-inch pan. Mine has a removable bottom, and I have buttered it around the base and the sides. So I roll this out, and it's going to need to be about 12 inches in diameter to fill the pan. If it's larger, it doesn't matter. If there's an overhang, I can cut that off afterwards. And I think that's probably large enough. So I'm just going to try to roll that up on my rolling pin and place it into my pan. And I'm just going to cut off some of the excess. And that's good like that. And I'm going to roll out my other piece of pastry, and that will be the top. So this needs to be about 8 inches in diameter. It can be larger and we cut off the excess again. And so that's large enough, and I'm going to roll that up on the rolling pin and just set it to one side for a minute. And then I'm going to take my filling and I'm going to put the filling into the pastry. Like that. And then I'm just going to, I've got a beaten egg which I have going to use for an egg wash, but I'm just going to take a little bit of it and I'm going to brush it around the edge of the pastry. And then I'm going to put my top on. Like that. And I'm going to press it around the edge. And then I'm going to crimp it around the edge. Like that. And I'm then going to cut some slits into it. Like that, and I'm going to brush the top with the beaten egg. And I'm going to put that into the oven and I'm going to bake it for 30 to 35 minutes until the top has turned a nice golden brown colour and I know that the filling is heated all the way through. Then I'll take it out of the oven and I'll come back and show you what it looks like. I baked my corned beef and potato pie for 30 minutes. Then I took it out of the oven and I left it for about 10 minutes before I took it out of the tin and I've cut a slice. I would have ideally left it for longer, but because I want to take most of it round to my niece for her dinner, I want it to go around while it's still warm. I should say that you can eat this cold if you want to. It works very well cold, but she will eat it warm. So this is what it looks like, and it's baked up quite nicely, as you can see. So I've cut my slice and I'll just have a taste of that. Very nice indeed. You get the flavour from the corned beef, the softness of the potato. I had some spring onion in mine as well there, so I got a little bit of the sting, so to speak, of the spring onion. Very, very good. And I can just feel just a little bit of that white pepper. It's not a strong peppery flavour, just a little hint of the white pepper. Pastry is nicely cooked as well. So I will actually have the rest of this for my dinner, and I will actually serve it with some chips or French fries and some baked beans. That seems to be one of the most common ways of eating it, but you can eat it with cold with a salad, whatever you want to do basically. So that's going to be it for this recipe. I hope you've enjoyed it, and if you have, please give me the thumbs up below and click to subscribe to my YouTube channel. In the top right hand corner of the screen there will be an eye that you can click on, and that will take you to a link for the recipe, and I'll put a link below the video as well, and I'll be back with another recipe in the very near future. So until then, happy baking.